Jessica. So we hope that everybody have a nice weekend, have a lot of fun, learn a lot, and be satisfied with the organization and everything. So enjoy.
Thank you. One housekeeping thing. I think most of you have found your way to the restrooms, but also it's kind of like musical chairs here. Does everybody have a seat that's here? Those seats over there, if they're not being used, can I capture them for these people? We're out of chairs.
They are unused.
They're unused? Okay, so those without a chair, grab a chair.
Ones here like a front microphone.
Very good.
There's another seat.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the seminar on RSV2000. And it was 2011 when we were here the first time. And we made already friends here. A very good friend of mine was Dr. Dildai. We came up together in the dog sport in the area of, in the middle of Germany, and it was interesting the way he went, the way I went, and we met again in Florida 4 years ago, and we had to discuss a lot. And now we have also friends in RSV2000, here in Florida, and we enjoy to come back and to tell you a little bit about what we do now for the club, for the RSV2000, and for dog sport, which is the main thing and the center of our activities in dog sport. So, Ursula Zabel is the office of RSV2000, and she's the most intelligent phenological person I know in the world. And I enjoy it that when she comes with me, she can answer you every question about dogs, about organization, about feeding dogs, and she's professional at this, and works for Royal Canine as a private person. And I asked Ursula to make you a short introduction to RSV2000 because you should understand why we are here. In the meantime, this club improves a lot, and all over the world there are people who are not only selfish and egoistic, and they think a little bit further. So if you want to do dog sport, you must have an environment, you have infrastructure, and I've done this now for nearly 50 years, and we found out if we want to do it in a way we want, politically, in the clubs, we have to do more than only training our dogs. And this is why we put a lot of energy into our last 7 years to build up this club. And last month I was in Spain, this month I'm in Florida, next month we are in Peru, in April we are in South Africa, and I'm very glad that I have the time now to come to this point in my talk. And I like it if Ursula comes with me because she's better to explain you what we do and why we do this in RSV2000, and I will tell you afterwards how to do this in dog sport. Okay? So Ursula, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Helen. Well, good morning to everybody. Glad to be here. And we have written it up there on the screen. RSV2000 is all about competence in performance and breeding. But before we come to this, you know, we are very subtle with what we say. You know, not very self-conscious, but we are the competence in performance and breeding. So first, of course, thank you for having us here. Thank you for being able to come to the States. And obviously, we have been here before. For me, it's the first time that I'm over in the States for RSV2000. But Helmut, of course, has been a lot of times here in dog sport. I never did, so this is really a very nice thing for me, and it's nice to be down here in Florida because in our place it's freezing cold. It's all of snow and ice, and I was happy to say, okay, bye-bye snow, I'm heading over to Florida. And I haven't been here for quite a while. I was here the last time in Florida in a year. Most of you haven't been born yet, so we'll see. So what it is about RSV2000, and if we introduce ourselves, this is what it's about. It's about dog, and more dogs, and more dogs, and really, what we really care about is our dogs. Now, of course, the owned ones are always the most important dogs, but this is only to tell you that we have some dogs at home as well. And on the right, you can see Alec. He is Vanna's dog. Vanna is my husband. And it's his dog. And the other one is my young girl. I don't know if she's ever in her life going to be titled, but for me, she's fine right now, you know, so I'm a lazy bum, but I have enough other things to do. So, but why do I tell you this? Most of you have been in dog sport for quite a while, I guess. This is usually something people do for a year or two or forever. And there are many people around who have done dog sport for ages. And I don't know about the dog sport, the club life in America, but this is what mostly people get sick and tired of once they're a little longer in dog sport. They say, I don't care about all these club politics. And really this is what we think is so important to say, if we are in RSV2000, all that matters and all that cares are the dogs. And some of you will be aware of the fact that right now we do have a little bit political hassle in Germany, but even then we try to keep it away from our members and say, listen, we're going to take care of this, and we are active in this. But what we want to take care of together with you is, it's all about our dogs. And of course it is about German Shepherds, which does not mean that we don't like any other dogs. You'll see in RSV2000 always different breeds as well. If it's the Belgian Malinois or the Rottweiler or the Doberman, or I don't care, but it is about the dog and the Schutzhund training. So to give you an impression of Germany, we have our members who are members in the club, and I hope that by the time we say bye-bye tomorrow evening, all of you are at least sponsors. Huh? Just keep this in mind. I might ask you to become a sponsor once or twice or 10 times. I don't know. But this is, you know, we need the support and we need the ideas. But members in Germany, as usually, are in regional clubs. And we kept this old expression of Ortsgruppe. This is just a regional club or local club. I don't know what you would call it over here. And we have the people organized there. Of course, we cannot offer the same structure as the club where we come from, the German SV. I mean, you can't do in 7 years what they did in 120. It's somehow impossible. But we are very proud that we do have quite a number of, let me see, the competence centers come first, okay. We do have the Ortsgruppen, I think 23 at this time. And then we have something very special in Germany. Can you hear me back there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I'm not too fast?
No.
Okay, glad if you understand my English. So, if the competence centers is something that I think was an idea that Helmut had in his head before we founded the club, you know, because we do need places where people know there they can go whenever they need any help, any assistance, be it in training or be it in breeding. And to have a competence center, I will explain this right afterwards, what is the crucial part of it. So right now we have 8 in Germany and in regional clubs, as it was in this month's 23. Now, a competence center is not a stable place. It is, if you've got a leader competence center, we call them LCC, a person, like we have him. It's not, you've heard of Philipp Grüneberg if you've been around for a while in dog sport. He's not doing too well right now, but still we really appreciate of having him and him being an LCC and Leader Competence Center. So we have some of these guys, but if you have got somebody, if you've got an LCC and he comes to your place and he does something officially for RSV2000, the Competence Center is here where he is. So it's not that we have a Competence Center in a certain city, in a certain place. It is wherever these people go and say, today it's RSV2000 time, it is a Competence Center on that day. And we have people like Fifi, as we call him. We have people like Hotte Topolek. I don't know if you know him. Fantastic guy for seminars, great in Schutzdienst, and wonderful personality. We all love him. Everybody loves him. Deep voice, you know. And then he can talk, and he's really great in dog sport. And then we've got a whole bunch of more people, and there are even more. And we have like LCC candidates. It's too bad Mike isn't here today, Mike Rivers, that he is one of our LCC candidates. And I hope there are many more to come. Something is happening with this thing. It does it all by itself. I didn't tell you to go on. Maybe I did something wrong in the transition of the slides. Okay, so we have many more of these LCC. They are the backbone of RSV2000 because they are all successful dog handlers. This is the one thing that is important. And then there's another point that is important. They are willing to share their knowledge, which I think is a crucial point of wanting to share knowledge that they have and really have seminars where you can come up there for a weekend and have some training lessons. Every club needs a board, so this is the board. And on the left you have Eugen Ecker. You've heard of the Candle of Fasanerie?
Yeah.
That's it? Yes, you have heard of him, of course. And then it is Fasanerie 2000 today, for some political reasons, it doesn't matter. That man beside him usually looks a little nicer, and I know it because I've been married to him for more than 40 years. He is the second chairman of the club, and we used to breed a little more. Schafbach-Mühle is our kennel name, but we don't do it very often anymore today. But the last, my girl, was bred in our own name. And then the best thing we ever did, this wonderful smiling lady beside my husband in the orange shirt. This is Gabi Reiser, it's Helen's wife. And when we came up with thinking who was on the board, there was somebody for finance who was not available at that time, even if she's very, very active in the background. But then we said, no, Gabi can do that, and I think that was the best decision, because so Helmut has somebody at home who tells him every once in a while, stop it now. You know? So as her being on the board gives her some competence. And so then we have Gerd Ferrell, who is our secretary, and of course you know him as well or have heard of him. You never met him in person, no, but they are breeders and dog people, so you really see, except of Gabi, everybody in the board is a dog handler. This is something you really have to realize. In Germany, this is very unusual. And we know that in the club that we come from, even the president is supposed to be a judge, but we never saw him with a dog. So this is really what it's about. But of course, one person is missing in the middle of these, and he comes in a little later, but you see him here. And to introduce Helmut is like carrying owls to efforts, I think one says. At least in Germany we say that. You all have heard of him. He has been our international master. He's been in 2008, and ever since we are here, I think you're always talking about the masters in the US, in Egypt.
It was a funny game, yeah.
Yeah, so that was, it really does it automatically. And so this is quite interesting. He was 3 times the Bundesliga, and he is the motor. He is the guy who initiated the club, who had the idea. He is the motor of the club. And so nothing without Helmut. But on the other side, I think we are doing a pretty good job in building up a structure. to have it divided for more shoulders and to look into the future to really give this club a good perspective as well. In the office, we've got a very nice lady, Birgit Klett, who is very friendly, but unfortunately, if you ever send us a mail, her English, she doesn't answer too much. So this girl will answer all your mails. And I thought, Ursula, if you go to the US for the first time for RSV2000, first evening, right away, I was asked about my English. Well, for you, it will probably be that you look at this picture and you say, oh, my mom looked like that on her high school graduation pic. You know, well, that was my high school picture. And when I came back to Germany, showing them this picture, everybody would say, okay, that's weird. How come you look like that on the photo? It's very, very American for Europeans. Very American, you know. And I guess that you still have yearbooks and high school graduation pictures. Yes, I would imagine you do. Some things never change over here, and I love that. I love it. That some things really never change. So I picked out that picture, but of course, I look a little different today, gained some weight, but that is our office. So, in RSV2000, why are these people active for the club? And I can tell you that all of us, we spend hours and hours and hours working on this club, and something that Helmut will mention once more as well, we do it for free, you know, and we love to do it because we think there's a reason to do it. When you want to appreciate something, you first have to know how it can be otherwise. We all know how it can be in dog clubs, how it can be in dog sport. So we are happy to work for RSV2000. So we want to breed puppies, of course. We are a breeding club. And this is something most, who in here is a breeder? Okay, okay. A minority, may I say it like this in this group? And I know that everybody who is a dog handler wants a good dog, and usually they know perfectly what to do to have the perfect dog, but breeders know it better. They know the hard way that it takes to go, but we want to build up some structure to be able to breed good dogs, but breeding, still like von Stefan had said 100 years ago, breeding means thinking in generations. So it can't be done, and not even in 7 years. We can only build up the structures to do some good breeding. So if we breed, we want to work the dogs, we want to train them, and then really we want to have fun doing that. This is a part, we're very serious about our objectives, but we don't forget that every once in a while, it's good to have a laugh. It's good to have fun doing all this. So then we, of course, this is what we don't want. You know, so let's get rid of that one. So our objective, I think it must have been by now 50 or maybe 20 years ago, that we sat down and we said, what is this really all about? And Helmut is a kind of a person who always wants things written down. And then he will pick up some people. If it was over here, he would say, okay, Angela, you came, Nathan, you come, maybe John, you come, and maybe somebody. You just have to drop by and say, let's sit together and give this some thoughts. And we were, I think, 6 people, 7, 8 people, who were sitting together and came up with a definition of a utility dog. And this is something that has been accepted in the dog world. You can find this definition in the internet, even by other clubs. It is accepted by the SV, because we were still in the SV, in the Delegate Assembly, when they decided that this is the official definition of a utility dog, even for the SV. There's more text to it, but this short version has been approved. But I don't know if they still know that they did it. But they did. We are their memory for these things as well. And you can read it. A utility dog as an efficient and skilled working dog. And there's every single word in here, even if maybe translation to English is not as perfect, but believe me, in the German version, we really worked on every single word that we used to have it short and compact and have it all in there. By virtue of its drive qualities and constitution is already a lot of that word, this can be instructed and utilized to fulfill a versatile task. So this is tasks. So this is the reason why if you have a gun dog, you can use the same definition, of course. In RSV2000, the basis to achieve a utility dog and to provide it for people and to use it in sports is what we call our causal chain. And it all starts with training. It's always training a dog, and this is what these 2 days are going to be about. And you will realize by tomorrow night the 2 days are a very short time, but it will give you an idea of what it can be in RSV2000. After that, we think that screening is very important in all kinds of senses. Then you select your dog, and then, can you see the screen? And then it goes to breeding. So, of course, then the dogs you bred, like when Helmut bred Rises Helga, you need to train her. And then it's some screening, and then it's some selection if maybe she can have a litter someday. But it's always this causal chain we have. And we'll talk about this a little bit. And so in this sense, we found a lot of people all over the world who said, we want to participate, we want to share these ideas, we want to go with you with the ideas of RSV2000. And so who in here is from RSV2000 in this long name in Florida? Blackwater, what was it?
Blacktown. Blacktown.
No.
Blackwater.
Yeah, so you're in here, and you are the closest. And the first club was RSV2000 Vermont. Anybody here from Georgia? Okay, anybody here from Missouri? And you should come.
No, they have makes on the message that they are sick. They have a vertical fall.
Oh, okay. So we do have, some people over here. And this is like in the US, it's in different countries as well. And gave us some problems to really give an offer to all these people, because this dog world is so complicated, and with FCI it's complicated, but with FCI and AKC it's even getting more complicated. And whenever somebody sits down to try to explain to me the structure of dog clubs in the US, I need a paper and I need my little graph. I say, okay, we're talking about this here now, and now we're talking about that here now, and then things changed, and oof. But what we did is, we founded RSV Global, because we said, if this is what we need to do, we do it the same like the SVD did. We will found a WUSV for us. We will found an RSV Global. So that's what we did, and the situation today is that on Monday, the FCI will sit together, and for the first time, the executive board of the FCI will talk about RSV Global and will consider the possibility of finding some kind of agreement with RSV Global. So keep fingers crossed. Personally, they'll say no. But I already told the General Secretary of FCI, if the committee says no, don't worry. Next day we were standing there and saying, listen, we are applying for having an agreement with you. And we'll find some way, and even we'll find a way that you don't need to cancel the existing cooperation agreement with the WUSV, but find a third solution. If you want to, always find a way to handle things. So we will go on with this, and right now we are very, very positive. So this will be on Monday, and I don't know when we will hear about it. Of course, the philosophy is the same in RSV2000 as in RSV Global, and whenever we sit down I already told you it's always about dogs first, and then it's about the members, and then it's about the club. Meaning, if there's any decision we need to take, our first question is it good for the dog? Okay, and then we go on and say, is it good for the members, and is it good for the club? Maybe you think that this is something, oh well, of course it is like this. When we were still delegates in our own club, and I remember Clemens Lux sitting there and always telling us that the most important thing is the club. You know him, he's a little bit, well, he's like me. And so he's always standing there saying, the most important thing is the SV. And so we were sitting there and said, no, we all start out having a dog, and then it's the club. So we really turned this around, and we do have many decisions to take, but then we will always sit down and say, okay, is it good for the dog? Or maybe it doesn't interfere with any interests of the dog and the dog training and breeding? Okay, so then we can go on and ask the next question. You're not interested in breeding, or not, you may be interested in breeding and having a good puppy, but you are not breeders. I don't really care. You have to listen to some thoughts about breeding now, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is really what you need. You need a philosophy for breeding. You need some ideas of what it's all about. And there is one poor sentence. We need to keep up the variety of the gene pool. Oof. This is very easily said, and in practice, I believe we don't even know it can still be done. The variety in the gene pool of German Shepherds and working lines is so small and so narrow, it's somehow even frightening. If you just sit around and you look at, discuss the lines, if you talk about the different dogs and you go 3 or 4 generations back, it's unbelievable that the number of dogs that you have to memorize is, it's somehow scary, because then you do have the problem that you really have a bottleneck, which we will talk about as well. It's getting too close. So this is very seriously meant. We are not the type of club who will go and tell a breeder, oh, you've got a female? Okay, for this female, only her male is the only male that you can use. We will never do that, because we feel it takes rules, but it should never have too many. So all we think it is, let's talk about it. We are a small club. We can discuss with people, and they will have the idea themselves. Of course, they can't do it too fast, because, and this is something which I think is very, very normal, every breeder has to sell their puppies as well. So they can't just change the world in one day. But we need to keep on thinking about the fact that our gene pool is very small. And in order to make a good combination, a good mating, we need to provide information to our breeders. And we will see this as well. So we need to do as much as possible to detect the genotype, and then this information we will give on. Very easily said again. And there we all came up, at least we did in Germany, with people who would look at a dog and know what the genotype is. That's quite a thing to do. Because normally, you know, probably you need a strong faith in that person to believe that anybody can look at a dog and know what's in the genotype. The rest of us has to collect all the information. To preserve the gene pool, I have this very, very simple picture. And having some experts beside me, I'm now a little bit nervous, you know. Then they will probably say, oh my goodness, what is she saying? The thing is, always when you make things simple, it is very easy to have a mistake in there. But I just want to have you the rough idea that if you think of our genes like colorful balls in a pool, then you say, okay, now we find out that all the ones who are yellow in the middle and green on the outside, that these is the gene for some disease. Very easy to say, kick that gene out. And you kick it out. And 10 years later, you realize, oh, you know what? If you would have used a magnifier, it was not only green and yellow, but there was this little red spot on there as well. And now you kick that one out as well. But this was something you needed for breeding. Maybe this was something you needed in working abilities and leadability. Or maybe this was something that would prevent another disease, or I don't know what. So, we cannot go on by just kicking out dogs because we think they have some fault. We have to be very careful in thinking, is it something that we have only maybe 2 dogs who have it or 10? We wouldn't mind. But if it's already some problem that is in all of the breed, and we kick these dogs out, this gene pool will be empty pretty soon, and then we have a real problem. So nowadays, we sort of hope for scientists, we hope for more knowledge in genetics, and we are, in a way, discussing things, and we are doing this for 1.5 years now with some people from Helsinki. Hannes Louis is a professor in Helsinki, worldwide known for genetics, and he has a company there together with other people. But whenever you do something with people and they say, yeah, it's easily done, you know it will probably take 3 years to really start it. It always takes some time. And in this case, IT is involved. And if there's anything I've learned about IT, it is, yes, it's possible, no problem at all, but never ask me about the money and never ask me about the time. You know, so we will achieve it. But I got some nice graphs from them, and just explaining here once more that when dogs started out, and it says in here about 30,000 years ago, some say 15, some say 100, we don't care because we don't have a feeling. No, I don't even have a feeling for 1,000 years. But let's say we have wolves around forever, about 30,000 years ago. We have the first bottleneck that dogs would develop. There are different theories why this happened, and one comes from America that I like very much. I'm a little bit influenced by Ray Coppinger, I guess. And so he says these were the wolves, they were less shy than others, maybe a little less aggressive, a little less shy, and they would get closer to people. Since 2013, we know for sure that then some of these animals developed the capacity to digest starch, which is different from wolves. Dogs are not wolves. They are completely different species by now. They have many similarities, but they are different. So they developed the capacity, the ability to digest starch, and maybe this was the precondition for domestication. Because people have their leftovers in food, and ever since we have dogs, in some way dogs live from our leftovers. No way how they get in their bowl or in their mouth, but it's always something that we don't eat, that they eat. So that was 30,000 years ago, and you see the gene pool was smaller here. And then later, about 200 years ago, the different breeds came up. And every time something like this here happened, and it gets more narrow, we say it's a bottleneck. And this is quite normal that we have this in dogs. I can skip this part with diseases, but let's have this. So every time we get a species to have some certain characteristics, it's a bottleneck because they will lose some genes. And of course you can sit down and wait for some mutations to come up, and maybe let's hope it's the right ones, but I think this might take too long. So really it is this genetic bottleneck that we have to watch out for, because with losing the diversity in genes, we lose the possibilities, the capacities, the abilities to react to certain constraints, to certain things that can happen to us, to diseases, to a new life condition, and all these things. So we have to be careful of not getting too narrow. And this has happened very often within the development of dogs with a certain breeds and then within the certain lines. And what we try to do is to maybe add some color again by mixing different dogs and maybe widen the gene pool once more a little bit. We have to say in the future, see in the future how this is going to work out. And we're going to do this with this Finnish company. And I'll skip this part now, but any question you have later about breeding, about organization, I'm here for these 2 days, at least. You know, I'm here on Tuesday, but still. You know, you can ask me any question you want, but you have a question right now.
I couldn't see the previous slide. Could you go back to that one?
I'm standing in front of it?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll see what we can do about, you can see that first it starts up on the left, all different little balls, you know, and then when you see the middle graph, it gets less and less colorful. And now we see how we can add some more different genes again to our gene pool. The thing is, the idea is to use dogs and to mate dogs where you look up to today to the pedigrees and say they are not related at all. And your dog, the mother, is from the breeder Hans Bodenmeier, and he is very, very strict in this. The problem is that the pedigree can only give you half